All right, folks, welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to my world. And today we're on coaching and consulting. And listen, if you're going to become a world-class coach to business owners and entrepreneurs, then you're going to have to help them at some point in your interactions in your career. You're going to have to help an entrepreneur or business owner get funding for their business. All right. Now, there are people who specialize in this. I realize that. But if you're working with small and medium-sized businesses, there may be times where your client will expect that you have some basic understanding of how to help them qualify for a bank loan or how to help them obtain the interest and possible capital from a venture capitalist or other investment firm. Over the last 10 years, I've worked with a number of businesses in this area. As a matter of fact, this is where I started helping clients get bank loans and doing business plans. And over time, we work with clients to seek larger investments to the tune of 20, $30 million. All right. So over the years, I've gotten some understanding as to what investors look for, investors, bankers, what they look for before funding a business. And I want to share this with you so that whenever you find yourself in a situation where you have to support your client in developing a business plan or an investment proposal, you will have these at the back of your mind as you move along. Now you can see that I'm wiping my face because it's quite humid in Liberia here, but I'm not going to let that stop me. And yeah, so from time to time, you see me wipe my face from sweat, but hey, life goes on. The AC is off right now, and yeah. So I want you to think about this from the investor standpoint. If you were to put money in a business, what would be the question that you'd ask yourself? I'm willing to bet that that question is going to be something to this effect. Is this business fundable? Is this business a business that I can fund and get my money back? And every business, every investor is thinking, is your business fundable? Does it really serve me to do this investment? To be able to answer this question, you need to share a few things. One, your problem analysis. You want to be able to demonstrate in your document, in your business plan, in your investment proposal, you want to be able to document and demonstrate a thorough understanding of the problem that your business or your product or your service is trying to solve. Now, a thorough understanding means that you have a clear appreciation for the current economic conditions and environment that you serve in. You have a clear appreciation for the market opportunity, and you have a clear appreciation for profit potential. Okay, that is the first thing. What problem am I trying to solve? Is this a problem of hunger? Okay, hunger. The people who are hungry may not have the money to pay, but other people who are trying to fight hunger may have the money to pay. All right. Is it a problem of the lack of entertainment or quality entertainment? People have disposable income, but they don't have enough quality entertainment. All right. That's the problem you're trying to solve. Or, hey, excuse me, these people eat a lot of a particular produce and there's not much of it grown here. So I want to be able to grow it and supply. Case in point, Liberia. You know, we eat a lot of rice and not much of that rice is homegrown. The bulk of it is imported. So there's a problem, and that with that problem comes an opportunity and profit potential. So the way I like to think of the problem analysis is to communicate the gap that I see in the market. That's the whole essence of the problem analysis. Don't get yourself hung up on the word problem analysis. That's industry jargon, but hey, it's good. Sometimes I play with things, and if I'm working with an investor or a banker who I feel is risk-taking or who is not so conservative, then I change my titles. But generally, in this business, you want to stick with what is known. And so problem analysis is what you're going to probably start with. And communicate your gap analysis. Once you've done that, then you want to describe the scope of your project. That project which you say is going to solve the problem, you want to be able to now describe that project. You want to give the project objectives. You want to be able to communicate the details of the project as well as the timeline. When are we starting and when are we ending? If it's a new business, okay, what is the investment going to be used for in this business? And when can we expect an exit of the investment if it's a finite investment? If it's a perpetual investment where the investor is on board for the long haul, where maybe shares are sold, then of course there may be no exit strategy, or the potential exit strategy will be the selling of shares if at that time should ever come. But the project scope is very important, So let's say you want to take a loan for expansion. You run a restaurant and you've become full to capacity every day, and sometimes there's a huge wait, and you want to expand your facility. The project scope the problem analysis will highlight the opportunity that the restaurant has in terms of patronage and the fact that there aren't enough seats, and sometimes you have a waiting line of 50 persons who could be eating and bringing in revenue, because sometimes people get impatient and they leave. So that's the problem analysis. The scope now will be, hey, because we have this problem, we want to solve it by expanding our restaurant. We want to acquire the adjacent property, break the posterior wall, and expand the restaurant to accommodate an extra 100 patrons. That's the objective. The details now include your schematics, maybe your drawing, maybe the amount of blocks that you think, all the itemization of what you need. And the timeline will be when and how long it's going to take to implement the project first. In the financial projections, we can talk about the return on the investment, but this here, we're talking about the project implementation, if it comes down to it as such. Another thing you want to highlight in that document is your management profile. You want to be able to show that the management of the business has the potential, the capacity to manage the investment and manage the organization, even in the absence of the head. All right. So issues around governance structure. Is there a chain of command? Is there a leadership? Is there a board of directors or a board of advisors? These are things you want to highlight in your document. And is there a prominent person on that board? Make sure to highlight that person's name. Financial management, internal controls. What systems do you have in place to manage finances? What systems do you have in place to avoid fraudulent behavior? If people are going to pump their money into a business, they want to know that the monies will be safe. What's the organization capacity to implement whatever the project is? I mistakenly put mechanization here from a previous work that I've done, but it could be any other project. It doesn't have to be a mechanization project. Okay, but what's your organization capacity to implement the project? That's another question that you need to answer and demonstrate in your document. Okay, and then with that, we can move on to the value chain analysis. The value chain analysis is, all right, so we've done the project now. Once we've done the project, this is how we're going to make the money. The value chain analysis will showcase how you're going to make the money. So we look at the input, production, processing, marketing, and consumption from the marketplace. So that's how money is made. And you want to highlight and talk about each of these. What inputs will you need in order to get to where you need to get to? What will it take to produce, and process and market? And then how will your consumers receive it, and how will people consume your product? From there, you come to your financial analysis. You want to showcase, are there any existing debts? What does past performance look like? What's the current value of the prime assets that the company owns? These are all things you want to highlight in your financial analysis. And then your projections will look at issues like sales projection, your expenditure table. What are you going to be spending money on? You look at your payroll, the people that you have on salary. What other operating expenditure do you have related to generating the revenue for that business? income statement, cash flow statement, balance sheet. If you're buying huge equipment, then these are all capital equipment. Or if you're buying an extra land or something like that, those are all capital equipment. And these are things that you want to make sure to highlight in your financial projections. All right. So one of the things I want to highlight here, many people make the mistake to think that investors are more concerned about profit potential. No, that could not be so wrong. Investors are concerned more about cash flow than profit, because cash flow means you have cash. A company could be profitable, but there's no cash on hand because much of that profit is locked up in accounts receivable. So investors are concerned about cash because in Liberia we have a saying that says money speaks, bullshit walk. We want to be able to have the cash. The cash is king. So you better know how you communicate your financial projections for your clients when you're there. Finally, you want to be able to show that you understand potential risk and you have put some plans in place for risk mitigation. And I just shared a few of the screenshots from a previous document. But hey, you want to look at things like cash flow risk, where management risk, and there's an explanation for each of the risks here. All right, foreign exchange risk, disaster risk, liquidity and credit risk. Okay, so these are some of the things that investors look for before funding. If you have all these things properly communicated, your chances are going to be very high that you secure the funding that you're looking for. And so if you're really in here to help your clients, then you want to be able to understand this and be able to support them further. And if you need support yourself on how you can help your clients land funding, if that's something that you're not familiar with and you want some support in that space, feel free to reach out to me via my usual means of connections. Connect with me here on my LinkedIn page, Dan Maxwell Jr., on Facebook, Dan Maxwell Jr., or send me an email. For those of you watching on YouTube, I have my LinkedIn profile linked below, as well as my personal website. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.